Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. This is going to be a video on Echoing Nightmares, the season theme for 26. This is on the PTR, patch 2.7.3. This is obviously all subject to change. The season theme obviously will go kind of in this condition. We're going to talk about some maybe improvements that we can make, talk about why maybe the season theme is how it is. Is it good for solo casuals? Is it good, for groups? Is it going to be a lot of fun? All that type of stuff. Before we do jump in though and have a talk about it, as always guys, thumbs up really does brighten my day. Do hit subscribe if you're interested in Diablo 3. Season 26, we will be covering just about all that we can. Now, looking at this, the Echoing Nightmares is the new season theme. It is basically a kind of like a new game mode, kind of like a new end game activity. The way to open one is you need to find a petrified scream, you pop it in the cube, you hit transmute, and you'll get a portal to an Echoing Nightmare. Now, I will put some footage of me doing a few, in the little screen for us. The way that it works is it's wave-based move. The faster you kill the enemies, the faster you jump through the waves. I don't think there's an end to it. I think the monsters can infinitely scale, it seems. It looks as though we're kind of about tier 270 is the max that I've seen anybody do so far. On a personal level, with a 900 Paragon Monk with 3 million sheet damage, I can clear tier 150. It looks like at wave 150 the XP reward stops, and at the end of it you basically get, once you've completed it, so it ends either when you die or it ends when you get overwhelmed, as your overwhelmed bar goes up. At the end of it, you then get all the XP, you then get a chest to open, which does have some loot. The loot can have a not a petrified scream, a Whisper of Atonement gem. This is used for augmenting. It starts at rank 100, and the idea is that the further up the tiers you go, the bigger reward you get, but the XP does stop at tier 150. So it seems to me that if that is still the case when it goes to live, there's not much point going past tier 150 because it doesn't really seem like there's terribly much more in terms of reward. That's going to be the kind of the sweet spot for the XP. So I guess if we start at the start, petrified screams, how do we get them? These drop from greater rifts. Now, at the moment, it's 100% chance, I think, even at GR1 to drop one of these keys. That I think is a bad thing, because all you're going to have to do is do a GR1, pop this into the cube, and you'll get a huge amount of XP from the Echoing Nightmare, and you'll just basically even accelerate the progress in this game. So, normally speaking, you do your grind to 70, that takes like an hour or two. You then have to get a set and a build put together. That might take you another couple of hours. Then you grind up some Paragon and so on. Now, if you actually jump into one of these Echoing Nightmare events, your Paragon will shoot up even faster, so you'll get to the end game that little bit quicker. And I don't really think that that is necessarily a good thing. So I really wouldn't have these dropping every rift. I think it's going to be too common. There needs to be like a percentage chance. I think almost like with primals, maybe they should only start dropping after GR70. They probably shouldn't have a 100% drop chance. Maybe you could have like a tier of Greater Rift where it does drop 100%. So maybe that's tier 90, maybe it's tier 100, maybe it's tier 120, whatever it is. But maybe there should be a level that they do drop. Now, bear in mind, a lot of the XP figures that we're getting of, I think it's like 8 billion XP past up to wave 150. Do bear in mind we've got the extra XP from the PTR, so we do have to factor that in. But even with that, it's still going to be a much more efficient way of getting XP than doing rifts. Now, again, there's a bit of a downside to that, because whilst it is the new mode, whilst it is fun, it is going to probably get quite boring quite quickly. The reason for that is with the fixed nature of the maps, with the fixed nature of the pylon, the only really thing that you're getting any kind of variety on is the monsters. And as I say, I do think that's going to get quite boring. If you did 50 of these things in a row, I imagine you'd be probably pretty bored by the end of it, because one of the great things about the Greater Rift system is whilst it is largely speaking the same thing from start to end, you open the rift, you get a load of monsters to beat, you collect pylons, you collect orbs, and you get to the end of it. Because the maps are different, because there is that dynamic mapping in the game, it does allow you, I think, to play an awful lot longer without getting that kind of sense of boredom, which I do think you will kind of potentially get by running through tons and tons of these echoing nightmare events. Now, also as a reward, you're going to get a Whisper of Atonement. Again, I think this kind of needs to be scaled. These need to be tied to wave progression. And what this is a legendary gem at rank 100. It does nothing, but it is capable of being used as an augment. So if you stick it in your cube and you stick it in with an ancient item, and you stick it in with your gems and hit transmute, it will give you a level 100 augment. Now these things start at 100, but they're not capped at 100. So if you want to carry on ranking this up all the way to 150 with your general GR progression, you can do. So it's either like used as a shortcut to augmenting, your gems. Let's say you want to put 130 augments on, or you've already got the first 100 ranks done, or you can simply use these on, let's say, less meta builds. You can maybe get 13 of these and then have 13 100 augment levels on all of your stuff. Now overall, this is a good addition, because one of the things from last season that we really loved was the fact that we could use the soul shards. We get the embers, we upgrade them, and then we can get augments on everything, so that is pretty good. It's going to cut down the amount of time for augmenting, which is definitely a bugbear, and is going to encourage people to play more builds across the course of the season. What I would say though is I think these things could possibly be scaled. So let's say if you get up to wave 100, then maybe you get a guaranteed Whisper of Atonement. Maybe it's level 100. If let's say you get to wave 150, when the XP stops, maybe you could get 2 Whisper of Atonements, or maybe you could get a Whisper of Atonement that's rank 110. And then again, if you get, say, up to wave 175, 180, you could get a Whisper of Atonement that does 115. So basically what I'm saying is as you get past this 150 wave XP cap, the rewards for after that, I think probably either should be more Whisper of Atonements just to make that augment process easier for you, or you get higher Whisper of Atonements, again, kind of easing that burden on the augment process. So you are still getting something for getting past 150, tier 150, wave 150. You're encouraging people to get as far as they can. You are rewarding their time, but without it being like this massive XP dump. So these are a great addition, and obviously the difficulty with it is because the season theme revolves around this game mode. For solo casual players, you kind of want them to be able to access this. So I guess that's the argument for them dropping the keys at level 1 GR1, because you want people to be able to jump in and try this new game mode out immediately. But obviously we need to bear in mind that the 4-player meta will get up to 150. Like this in a monk, a casual player could have this set up in a couple of days of the season probably. Obviously if you're super casual, it'll take you a little bit longer. If you're at all sweaty, you'll be able to get this up. And also I should mention the water allies just really aren't working properly on PTR. So there's a bunch of builds I'm sure that can get to 150, wave 150 in the Echoing Nightmares. But if you're grouping, if there's 4 of you, it'll be very easy to get to 150. A couple of supports in there, you'll be absolutely battering those things. So the early group progressions can be massive compared to people who are kind of trying to do it solo. I think it is what I'm getting at with that. In terms of how to improve it, I think it probably should be harder. Like, again, if we're not giving any reward past 150, I think the whole thing just has to be that little bit more difficult, because otherwise it is just going to be too easy to get too much XP too fast. So yeah, there is definitely going to be something to do with the rewards. One thing I would like to see is similar to the way we have GR70. Once you clear that, you get a guaranteed primal. I think that if there could be like a guaranteed primal at like wave 100, wave 150, wave 200, whatever it is, if we could do that, then again that is potentially something else to kind of like factor in to make it worthwhile progressing through the waves in this mode. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's going to be good to have something different to do. You know, we've already got GRs, we've got the key farming, we've got bounties. So, you know, an extra activity in the game I think is pretty good. It is pretty cool. I would say as a season theme, I really do think that just the lack of balance changes potentially undermine this a little bit. But as we say, it is the kind of first iteration, so we'll just have to see what it is that the team come up with. So I don't know if you guys have got any ideas as to how to improve this system, but other than making the keys a little bit rarer, maybe making the rewards a little bit different, so that, you know, you're not kind of incentivized to just like do this all day. But one thing to bear in mind is that, and this might well be the intention of it, is that if you can get an absolute crap ton of XP out of doing these things, even as a solo player, maybe it does kind of bridge the gap. Because if you think about kind of like pushing and seasonal competition, you know, Paragon is very important, but it does also offer a kind of diminishing return. So by that, what I mean is let's say you've got 1,000 Paragon and you're trying to push a build, and you've got these, like, you know, extra augments. That's going to be very different to trying to push if you've got like 3,000 Paragon. You know, the 3,000 Paragon is going to be much bigger. It's going to be much easier for you to do the clears. But if you're getting an absolute shit ton of XP, you're kind of raising everybody's minimum Paragon level. And then the difference between, you know, a 1,000 Paragon and a 3,000 Paragon is pretty big. But the difference between a 3,000 Paragon and a 5,000 Paragon is still big, but it's not as big as the 1 to 3 difference. So almost, I think it's kind of a way of basically adding, you know, if you raise everybody's minimum power level, then the people who are you know, really crushing it, they are still getting an advantage, but it's not quite as big as an advantage. So that might well be it. And then plus as well, you know, if we do get lots of these keys, we do lots of these Echoing Nightmare events, we do get lots of these augment gems, then again, everybody can kind of push every build from a kind of level minimum playing field, if you see what I mean. So maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, because obviously it is kind of like taking away a little bit of the skill gap, as in people who know how to build XP efficiently generally going to outperform those who don't. So, you know, maybe that's part of the thinking with this. The other impacts that we've got this season, just quickly outside the Echoing Nightmares, one of them, again, which maybe feeds into this, because if we're raising everyone's minimum power level, one of the things is we've now got a guaranteed rift that opens sometimes. Pretty rare, must be said, pretty rare, but you can open it and get what's called an Oryx Dream, and that is almost like a massive go push signal, because all the maps are going to be fantastic. So again, it's kind of leveling the playing field in terms of the RNG, because if everybody's minimum Paragon level is up, if everybody's got at least all these 100 augments, and everybody gets an Oryx Dream when they're pushing, you know, an Inner Monk, a Raiment Monk, a God DH, whatever it is, then it then maybe does come a bit more down to skill with the actual build, because everybody's got that higher Paragon, so the Paragon aspect of it is less, the RNG of the fishing is less, because we're all using the Oryx Dream Rift, so we're all kind of guaranteed good-ish maps. So there is still RNG, it's just a lot less. So it may well be that what we find actually next season is that it is going to be the people who know the builds the best and can play those builds the best that are actually going to shine. So, you know, maybe that's the kind of overall direction of the game. Maybe that's why we've got these Echoing Nightmares. Maybe that's why this is the season theme, and it's going to get added to the game. As I say, I think all in all, it's a really good starting point. I think there can be some cool things done with the rewards to maybe make it a little better. The XP maybe needs a little bit of a tweak, and overall, I think if we had, like, you know, just 3 or 4 more balance changes with some set changes, I think this season would feel very, very fresh. But at the moment, it does feel a little bit kind of like we're going to be doing a similar thing to the last few seasons. Inner Monk, God DH, you know, 4-player meta blasting, and then with a little bit of Echoing Nightmares mixed in. So I guess that's kind of where we are with it at the moment. You know, it's new, which is good. The rewards for solo casual player for the XP is brilliant. The augments that you'll be able to get off it are brilliant. I do worry that it's not going to be exciting enough to carry people throughout the course of the season, but it is at least another activity to do. So that is where we are with the Echoing Nightmares. That's my thoughts on the season theme. Always, guys, love reading your comments. Going to start replying to as many as I can every day moving forward from now. But yeah, let me know what you think. Is this going to be a good season? Is it not? I'm going to go off and test a bunch of stuff and see if we can't figure out a bit more information about this. And hopefully next week the PTR does get updated again and we get some changes. That's all for today, guys. I've been the Filthy Casual. Stay safe in Sanctuary. Take it easy. Peace.